Our first speaker is TerryAnn Porter. Terry, come on up. Handshake, touch hands, what's up? TerryAnn Porter, they did it their way. They did it their way, TerryAnn Porter.
Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, I would like to introduce you to Vern and Verbal Eisenhower. These are my grandparents. They were married in January of 1929. Now, I'm not certain, but I think this picture might have been a 25th anniversary. You see, they had a lot of anniversaries. They were married 81 years. That means there were a lot of celebrations. There were a lot of anniversaries, a lot of parties, a lot of all those fun things you have on your anniversary. But there's one particular anniversary that I want to tell you about. With their anniversary being in January, started talking to them when we all got together for Thanksgiving that year. Grandma, your 75th anniversary is coming up. What are you going to do? Well, probably do the same thing we do most every other day. Go to Burger King and have lunch. Burger King? Well, this got the creative juices in my weird head going. But long and hard, come Christmas time, I went to their house and I brought to them a Burger King Christmas tree, complete with hamburger ornaments, French fry topper, gift cards. We got gift certificates. We didn't have digital cards in those days. This was a long time ago. And of course, the crown. I had each of them put on their crown. And I took their picture alongside the tree. Now, I took this picture and I wrote a letter to the local Burger King with a copy to corporate. And I enclosed this picture telling them that this couple, for their 75th anniversary, we're going to go to Burger King. Now, first of all, I do have to let you know, they lived in a little town just south of here called Lewisburg, Kansas. I grew up there. Let me tell you, in those days, there were no chain restaurants. You had the Blair House. And you had the little one on the corner that kind of changed names every few years. But you didn't have any chains. So when Sonic, McDonald's, and Burger King came into town, that was big stuff. Burger King kind of won out because there were a couple of her great-grandsons working there. Sent this letter. Didn't think anything about it. A few days after their anniversary, I got a call from my mother. Grandma had a great time. Let me tell you what happened. Along about noon, Grandma picks up her keys. Vern, come on, time to go to lunch. They get in their white Crown Vic, whatever you call that car. Anyway, they drive that mile down to Burger King and they walk inside. Here's the routine. Grandma goes, sits in the booth. Grandma goes, places the order. Well, Grandma gets to the booth. And there's this picture hanging right there. That's a big smile right there. Well, as Grandpa's going up to order, Vern, you go ahead and sit down. We got this for you. They came out, they had their meal all ready for them, brought it out, celebrated with them. Not only that, they then came out with a happy 75th anniversary cake. And everybody in the restaurant is celebrating with them. They take Grandma, she loves the center of attention, and this made her ecstatic. Now, those of you are thinking that's where I got it from, just that to yourself. They had a great time. Here's the clincher now. My gosh, a few days later, I'm excited about this. Grandma's telling everybody the story. A few days later, I got a letter from the corporate office. This is awesome. If this is what the local did, just imagine what corporate did. I gotta tell you, in my head, I already had it figured out. This could be a commercial. Could you see this elderly couple shuffling to their car, getting in that big old Grand Vic that every older couple had to have, and driving into Burger King? I had the commercial all worked out. But hey, they got an idea. Open up the letter. And it read, "Dear Miss Porter, thank you for reaching out to us about your recent Burger King experience. I apologize for the unsatisfactory visit. We will certainly review our policy and procedures to ensure this does not happen again. Please accept this gift certificate to give us another opportunity to serve." My best chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. I remember lane for me, I grew up in, lived in Westport forever. People drove from the city, or actually they rode their bikes from the city to the Blair House to eat. It was that good. And the franchises coming in was an odd but wonderful surprise. Let's take just a minute and get ready for our next speaker. For the housekeeping I didn't do up front, our evaluators, Mike Edwards will do TerryAnn's evaluation, and Shelley Bowling Strickland will do our next speakers. And with that, we are ready.
Hey,
Our
Dan,
next speaker- Yes?
can you give us a list of all the evaluators and speakers, please?
Make it easier on my memory as well. TerryAnn Porter, Mike Edwards, Darren Yarbrough, Shelley Bowling Strickland, Cheryl Bender, Cheryl Reynolds, that one I'll definitely forget, Tom Pershway, Barb Grenade, and Kathy Draper, Andre Red.
Thank you.
You are always welcome. Anything for you. Our next speaker, if he is ready, is Darren Yarbrough. Darren Yarbrough, the chicken, Darren Yarbrough.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, I am proud to say that I grew up on a farm. Some people may say that life on a farm is boring. All I can say is they didn't grow up on my farm. To this day, some of the wildest stories of my life are things that happened to me back on that little 150-acre patch of prairies. Allow me to set the stage for one such story. Among the many things that we did on our farm, we raised chickens. It was wonderful. We had these little fluffy white birds running all over the place, usually with a couple of little yellow tennis balls bouncing behind them. And we had eggs. Eggs to eat, eggs to sell, eggs to give away. Well, on a farm, everyone has a job. And my job, the job of little 5-year-old Darren, was to collect the eggs. Sounds like a simple task, right? It would have been, except for one thing. You see, where there are chickens and baby chickens, there will always be a rooster. Some people say that roosters came from dinosaurs. This guy made me wonder, because long before I ever watched Jurassic Park, I lived it every single day. I would try to collect the eggs, he would attack me, and I would barely escape with life and limb. At first, my parents were no help. They'd say, "We'll just show him who's boss." And I'd say, "Trust me, he knows." Because when you're a full-grown adult, facing a rooster is not that big a deal. But when you're a little 5-year-old, facing a rooster is a very big deal. This went on for days, weeks, months. Finally, one day, as I was preparing to do the dreaded deed, I got an idea, a new idea, a special idea. It occurred to me that a chicken coop has two doors, a front door and a back door. Why does a chicken coop have two doors? Because if it had four doors, it would be a chicken sedan. You're welcome. Well, on this particular day, all of the chickens were gathered out by the front door. So I very quietly sneaked over the fence and went round to the back door. And when I walked in, there was nobody home, not even us chickens. So I very quietly started gathering the eggs and putting them in my basket. The whole time I'm congratulating myself. Oh, Darren, you are so clever. And as I collected the last egg, I heard a sound. I looked around and standing 10 feet from me was my nemesis, the rooster. He had a cocky stance and a foul attitude. He took one step toward me, took a step back. He took another step toward me, took another step back. And finally, I made it to the back door and I bolted for the fence. Behind me, the only sound I could hear was little feet. When I got to the fence, there was no stopping to climb over. I bolted that thing with the skill of an Olympic athlete and rolled to safety. As I lay there trying to make sure that all my body parts were still there, I noticed something was attached to my hand. It was my basket. And every egg was still inside, and not a single egg was broken. I called that day a win. There are many days like that that followed with varying degrees of success, but then came one day that changed everything. On that day, my dad decided to collect the eggs, and the rooster decided to chase him. Some people say that a rooster is a flightless bird. They should have been there that day. That rooster came at my dad, and it was 30 feet through the air and landed in a crumpled heap. A few seconds later, he staggered to his feet, gathered his wits and pride, and staggered away, and he never chased another human being, ever. There are a few things that little 5-year-old Darren learned from this whole experience. There are lessons that 50-something-year-old Darren still carries with him to this very day. First, if you're facing a challenge and there seems to be no way through, think it through. Find an easier way. Second, if you run into it and the stuff hits the fan, it's perfectly okay to step away and live to fight another day. And third, there will always be somebody who has your back. A parent, a partner, a pal, power. They will always be there to take care of you. These little lessons worked for 5-year-old Darren, and they still work for me this very day. So now I offer them to you. Please take them, use them. May they help you the next time that you face a challenge that makes you feel like chicken.